So that Djinn sex scene, right? And Jesus is finally mentioned, not to mention the Egyptian gods. Hey guys, welcome to the Binge Zone recap of episode 3 of American Gods. There's a lot to talk about. Let's start with the first thing. The very beginning of the episode, like the last two episodes, we're introduced to a new god. Not a new god, but a god we're introduced to another god. And that would be Anubis, the god of the underworld for the Egyptians. And I like his portrayal. I like the way he was portrayed. I like his stoic demeanor when he was speaking to that woman. And I like the fact that it introduced us to a new concept. The fact that the woman is Muslim. The fact that her faith in the Egyptian gods was stronger than her own faith and her own Muslim faith was a new aspect that the show brought along, which kind of makes sense. You can be one religion and believe in another completely different religion. So I like that aspect. I found it weird the way he weighed her heart against the feather, but I understood the meaning behind it. And I was thinking to myself the whole time, like, so what if she did something a little fucked up in her life? She's damned to damnation. And I love that, but I do love the aspect of Anubis, and I do love what he represents, and I liked how they represent the Egyptian death, or the way they live their life, or they live their afterlife, because I don't know much about it. So I'm gonna Google more about the Egyptian gods and Anubis specifically, because the only thing I know of him is from comic books. So I like that new aspect that they showed. I liked how everything was explored, and I liked just how beautiful it looked taking her to Egypt and speaking to her, and how cordial and nice he was, as opposed to some of the other d-baggy gods we got so far. But aside from that, we're introduced to another god. Is it a god or a creature? The Djinn, the taxi driving Djinn that the Muslim man meets, right? But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's go back to Moonshadow and Wednesday. Moonshadow meets one of the three sisters, and he speaks to her, and she warns of a great evil. I guess that has to do with Norse mythology, because the three gods are of Norse mythology, and the whole Odin's hammer, or Odin something that has to do with the stars, and some big creature that's being held is on Norse mythology. So that aspect, I like the fact that she was able to plug the moon and give it to Moonshadow. He still seems to be tripping about his powers, but throughout the episode, like, I'm starting to believe that he's starting to believe. And after episode 2, we saw that he lost the chess game. He ran it back and he played again, and he won this time. And he made a comment that I picked up on, and this comment is very interesting, because as he was playing, he told the guy, I'm not going to butcher his name because I can't do the pronunciation correctly. He told him that you're using the same moves in the last game, which is kind of symbolic in the fact that the old gods, because he is an older god, are using the same tactics that they've always used. So that could be why they're failing to the new god. Because in the rematch of the checkers game, he lost the rematch to Moonshadow, and that's because he couldn't adjust. And if those gods can't adjust to the way we do things now, because in episode 2 we saw Media, and Media seems to be like at the height of her power. She is currently the god right now, right? Like, she's probably stronger than every god we've seen before on the show, because we all love Media. She's adapted to the times. Like, she can appear on any screen, television, cell phones, whatever it is. Well, most powerful in the sense that we're not excluding Jesus Christ. Jesus was finally somewhat introduced by Wednesday this episode, and from what he's told us, Jesus is the strongest there is, because everyone believes in Jesus. And even now we can tell, like, Jesus and Christianity is the most popular religion in the world. And Wednesday brought this little funny quip about Jesus being black, Mexican, white, Asian, whatever you need him to be. Jesus is that, because like I said, Christianity is the most popular religion in the world right now, and every race has their version of Jesus, right? So aside from Media, Jesus is the man right now, and every race has their own Jesus, but we all know Jesus is black. We know like, look at the region, look at the history, we all know Jesus is black. But I like the fact that they mentioned him in Wednesday. Was like, he's popular right now, he's the man, like, he is the power. Like, everyone believes in him. People think he died for their sins. Why? Like, and I like the fact that he hinted at Jesus' father. He hinted at God, but he didn't flat out say it. So I like what they're doing. They sprinkle a little Jesus, because you can't have a show about gods and not include the it man, the most popular god in the world history right now, Jesus. So I like that aspect that he was mentioned. I'm hoping they mention him more, because I want to see where they go with his plotline as well. But the fact that the old gods aren't adapting, they're losing believers, and they're losing in chess in a rematch. Like, I found that pretty interesting. But let's move on to the crust of the story. Now, I'm an alumni of True Blood, so, like, these kind of sex scenes don't bother me. But this sex scene was a little bothery. Like, just a little too graphic. And that's coming from a show that had Belcuries absorb a man into her vagina in the very first episode, right? I don't know, it's a bit graphic, like, but regardless, I don't know what to take from that. I don't understand. The Djinn stole his body, I'm assuming, and he had to have sex with the guy to have him. So I understood that part, I think, or did the guy become the Djinn? Like, it's not too explained, but he does take his body through the act of the gay sex scene, and the gay sex scene, like I said, I have no problem with. Just the fact that it was a bit too graphic, and I was sitting here like, okay, it's starting to get uncomfortable. It's starting to get graphic. Yeah, it's getting graphic. And the symbolism, I understand the symbolism behind it, but it was just a tad too graphic. That's just my 2 cents on it. But I would like to have them to expand it more upon the Djinn, because now we're dealing with more Arabic religions. I'd love for them to expand more on the Djinn, because we don't really understand what his goal is. Like, he's a shitty taxi driver. He's complaining about being a taxi driver, and he doesn't grant wishes. So, like, what does he do? Have sex with people and take their body? Unlike Belcuries, who seems to be getting stronger from it, he just seems to do it just cause. I don't understand. I wish they would have expanded more upon that. But Moonshadow is finally starting to come into his own. We saw in the episode that Wednesday was able to get him to produce snow just by wanting snow and tricking his mind into subconsciously conjuring up snow. And throughout that scene, right, and as it happened, I knew he was going to make the snow happen. I just knew it. But when it finally happened and he was talking to Wednesday, it got to an interesting point. Like, is Moonshadow starting to believe a little bit that he might be special, or these gods might be what they actually are? Because he's still in denial. And he can't seem to grasp it because he knows they're not delusions. Because delusions would have felt real and they don't feel real. They feel like a dream. So I'm confused. What if Moonshadow is dreaming this whole time? No, he can't be dreaming because we're getting other scenes of other gods. Never mind, that was a stupid idea. But I like the fact that he's starting to grasp some things. Because if he was oblivious for like the first 5 episodes, the show is going to get pretty tedious with the, is this real, is this not? Because like, that was a terrible accent. Why did I do that? But regardless, I do like the fact that Moonshadow is starting to come into his own, developing his own powers. And then we have Mad Sweeney. Mad Sweeney just has the shittiest luck, right? And that whole scene with the car reminded me of Final Destination. And come to find out that he gave his lucky coin to Moonshadow. Like, what kind of dumbass do you have to be to give away your lucky coin when you need it? It's part of your power set. And until you get it, you have the shittiest of lucks. Right? So he goes after his lucky coin. And Moonshadow and Wednesday rob a bank. And that was the most genius bank robbery ploy I've seen in such a long time. Like, I'm not going to employ it. I'm not even going to try. But that was pretty genius plan come up by Wednesday, right? The whole fake out with the ATM machine. I actually like that. So Mad Sweeney goes to find his coin, and we find out that it's fallen into Moonshadow's ex-wife's coffin, and she's no longer there. But we already saw that since episode 1. We knew she was coming back. And the episode pretty much ends with her confronting Moonshadow. How'd she get there that fast? How'd she know where he was? I don't know. But she got there. But overall, this episode introduced a lot of new things like the show's been doing. Like, it's just been throwing gods at us and throwing not really rhyme or reason behind what they're doing. So I wonder what's going to happen when they get to Wisconsin. I'm confused. I'm even more confused. But at the same time, I'm starting to grasp some other straws. And I like the way the show's like boiling all these things about, right? Like, some parts confuse you. Some parts you get. And Moonshadow's coming to his own. I feel like we're like Moonshadow. Me and you, the audience, we're like Moonshadow, right? And we don't understand what's going on. We kind of see it, but it's kind of confusing at the same time. But overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed it less than the other 2 episodes. But this episode seems to move with the plot along. And I'm liking that Moonshadow is coming to his own. I wonder what's going to happen next week with his wife and how they're going to handle that and how Wednesday's going to explain that situation to him. And if Mad Sweeney's going to come back. And I miss Belcuries, so I kind of want her back next episode. And more explanation on the Djinn, because I know what the Djinns are. I've watched Supernatural. I've watched other shows that deal with Djinns. So I kind of grasp what a Djinn is, but I want to know how the show's going to utilize the Djinn. Overall, I enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you thought about the episode in the comments below. If you like this video, definitely hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you guys haven't already. And until next time, binge on.